It's 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. Quite frankly, a really depressing 6 a.m. It's cold, rainy, and otherwise miserable, but I do have something to look forward to. The main mission is finally meeting a friend and trying weird cameras today. The secondary is an opportunity to cross something off my bucket list. Our first stop is the McNeil Post Office. Built in the 1860s and made a post office in 1888, there's no sane reason for this place to continue existing. What was the town of McNeil is now pretty much long dead, and it's exceedingly clear that every economic force is in favor of ultimately closing the post office. Yet it stays open. A tiny community who cares keeps it alive. The Austin White Lime Company, which was incorporated the same year as the post office, halted production in 2024. It's becoming more apparent this weird enclave of untouched ranch land will fill with urban sprawl. But I do find comfort in the thought that people will care enough to keep this post office around, even till the very end. Not for any logical or economic reason, but for a completely human reason. On the bridge that passes above it, I would ride the train downtown when I was young. This place stuck out like a sore thumb every time. Ever since then, I needed to see it. And what would be a better excuse than sending letters to people whose community did stick around till the end? Next, we traveled west, through the suburbia I'm most familiar with. We ended up essentially in my old backyard. We could have gotten closer, but a cop was there. As a child, I would explore these woods, finding ruins of a 1930s farmhouse, cistern, cars, springs, and forts built by local deviant teenagers. I mapped every deer path or created my own, but I never got the chance to explore beyond my area, past the cell towers that stood on a nearby hill. Well, here I am, standing on that very hill. Soon enough, we traveled downhill until we entered another liminal space. Are you getting the theme now? I've been here many times, mostly 20 to 30 feet above where we were standing. I love the lake bed, which probably puts me in the minority here. There's all the unseen infrastructure, such as the dock ties, massive concrete weights, and all the remains of clams and other shells, either native or invasive. It's all in a very strange temporary landscape, which can only be photographed every so often. It started raining again, so we headed back to the car and continued west. We arrived a bit west of Lago Vista and drove into the Balcones Canyonlands Refuge. Here we had a fantastic view of the scenery. Everything to the right of the highway is protected land, while everything else is not. To our far left, you could already see the encroaching car slum, a term that Crime Pays But Botany Doesn't on YouTube used for this exact same development. The smoke was from land preparing to be scraped away. In its place, there will be lawns and McMansions, so we probably took the most photos here on this trip. We drove back into Lago Vista for fuel, then started our trek into my favorite liminal space. I had been here for the first time 2 years prior. For the most part, it had not changed. Lago Vista was built by a resort company. Ranch land was bought up in the thousands of acres with one plan: build a golf course, and they will come. From what I gather, national resort communities had no real plan for a city. NRC went full steam ahead, plotting and building roads before people could support it. Over the years, the flatter, more accessible land grew, despite being hours away from civilization and minutes away from an infamous drug commune. Lago Vista was eventually incorporated into a city. The now city-owned property in the hills was too expensive to build on, now sitting undisturbed for nearly over 50 years. And it's bizarre, in a place with devastating rapid growth, destroying natural habitat and increasing congestion on an already deadly road, there's sort of an apocalyptic feel to where we stood. The dream of a long-dead company looking to do the same, but failing. As we explored further, signs of civilization grew completely out of sight. This would be a fantastic area for Austin filmmakers. Off the grid, undisturbed, and hidden while being simultaneously a stone's throw from Austin. And it feels apocalyptic. There's the rough sketches of depressing suburbia, just never conceived. The roads are here, the streets are named. There's just no one here but two camera nerds just hanging around. Hope you're all doing well. This is a very different type of video, and see you in the next one, whenever that is. Goodbye.